Who's there to blame, in your opinion?
That's a good question. And don't get me wrong, the fact that that's the case basically means that I have a job. So I'm celebrating that underuse. I think it's perhaps that the contact center tends to be a fairly, what's the right way to say that without offending every single person watching, conservative audience, a stuck in its ways. I hear a lot of people who are scared of change. Why would I want to change this? Because it's working well enough. We achieve our service levels and everything's fine. And could it be better? Maybe. But also, if I take a risk and break a thing, then there's going to be real repercussions for me on that. So I don't. To say that it's anyone but me or anyone but the manufacturer seems lazy. And I'm not saying that every single person that runs a contact center is a dreary, siloed, conservative, stuck in their ways individual. But when you put everyone together into a team, I feel like something about that creates that siloed approach. It's been ever since I've worked in contact centers.
Yes,
I'm sure the same for you. The case that you can say, if you're going to go in and look at someone's processes, you'll find a siloed approach. We've always done it that way, and so why would we change? That's
yeah. I was going to add, by my experience, and comment on that the way you think. I don't know if you agree, but what I feel like is probably the companies where the WFM circle is closer to operations, and when they go into a project like this together, they are probably the ones that have less of a gap to close in terms of utilizing the full tool. Do you think that that's the only thing, or there is something probably else that needs to be done as well from who is leading a project like this in the organization?
I suppose if you were being honest about it, you'd say that maybe the manufacturers do have some kind of duty of care to be better at explaining their own features to
Yeah.
to the marketplace. I spend a lot of time kind of evangelizing things like speech analytics and performance management scorecards to clients who have bought them but don't really know what they do. And it can't be only the customer's fault for not understanding that. I think that
Mhm.
perhaps partners and manufacturers could try to make that clearer to the people that buy their products. And so now, if I've just offended even more people.
No, but I will take the blame on that. I really wanted this to be. Let's go back to fun then.
Controversial.
Controversial. I think like we are going down the path. Let's pull us back up. So let me ask a different question. Completely change of topics. So we started. We kind of like get to know. So I wanted to talk about the future still, but more on your personal future. Is there something that you would like to learn, and what would that be?
Oh, like to learn?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh.
Learn how to do, if you
Learn
prefer.
how to do. Okay.
I feel like I learn things every day with
Yes.
with with working with workforce management. I
Does it
mean,
need to be
to
workforce? I can give you one. So if you want me just to, so and you probably will laugh, Alec, about this one, but I really want to learn how to play drums.
Oh,
oh,
nice.
Because that's something I always had like a personal, I don't know, passion for drums. But I tried it once and it was not that good. So I was like, maybe one day later. And now I'm getting to a point that okay, the noise is no longer an issue because I can just buy electronic one. So it's not that big of an issue. And I don't have my mother bothering me anymore about the noise. So that's one that I really want to learn, and how to get to learn drums I don't know yet, but probably within the year I really want to get started. What about you
Okay.
guys?
So I did a tandem skydive last year, but what I'd like to learn
I
is to
did
be
it.
able to jump out of the plane on my own.
come
Ooh.
on,
I did it. I
Yeah.
did it. I did it for my birthday this year. My wife
Oh,
no.
just
did you love it?
no. But wait, like I need to tell a story. Sorry, everyone, but we want to have fun in the end of the day. So my wife said, "Oh, we are going for a weekend," and we went for a weekend together. And she only told me like, "Oh, tomorrow or like 2 days from today, I need to get like comfortable clothes on because we are going for like." I was like, "Talk like a hike or something." I was like, "Okay." And the day gets in, and she told me like, "Okay, I will put on the GPS and you just drive." I was like, "Okay." And I literally arrived to the place, and I really wanted to do it, by the way, but I was not expecting that day because I really wanted to prepare it. And I arrived and I was like, "Whoa!" And I had like my smile, the same smile for like 3 hours. I couldn't take the smile off. I was like, I have pictures of me. I couldn't even scream. I was laughing. That was my whole point, was laughing. So
It's
I totally
brilliant.
connect with that. But you want to be able to do it yourself. It takes like what, like 10, 15, 100 jumps. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
hard.
I think, when I spoke to them after I did it, they said, you'd have to do a number of tandems and get to a point where the safety, you understand what you're doing. But yeah, I reckon after about, I'd like to do it in less than 50 jumps, so that I can actually jump out the plane on my own. The only problem I had, Andre, I don't know about you, was when I was sat on the edge of the plane and they said, right, we're just going to go. The guy said at the end that he found it really hard to sort of steady us afterwards because my legs were going like this when I came out the plane.
I didn't have that issue. So
I
for me,
was
it was
just like,
actually
how to
very fun
paddle.
because I jumped with my wife, and my wife went first. And
Yeah.
I literally saw her falling, and I started laughing because she was screaming her lungs out, and I was just laughing. So for me, I was like, I don't even recall. I recall going out. It was amazing. The free dive was my favorite part by
Oh,
far.
yeah.
But
That's the best
I think
bit, isn't it?
the fact that I was super safe, because in my head, the guy that was jumping with me, I asked him, he has like over 15,000 jumps. He
Yeah.
was jumping like for 10 to 11 times a day. So I was like, okay, I'm super comfortable. But the fact that I'm going alone and I need to figure out, that's a huge gap. Alec, do you want to weigh in on this conversation? You already
Yeah,
tried
my
something.
ambition is to never jump out of a plane. That's insane. If I can never do that, I'll have a huge smile on my face too.
So what's your thing you want to learn? I presume it's nothing connected with airplanes.
Yeah, you see this list above my head here, this little list that you can't read. That's a list of all the things that I'm sort of working on at the moment, actually.
Oh, wow.
So that is what this is, and there's all sorts of things there. I make shoot films as well.
Yeah.
As well as photography and music, and so there's loads of stuff about making music videos that I'm learning to do. I'm talking to a fella about working on a documentary that he's pitching at Netflix. So working on some, and there's so much to learn. You have to know so much stuff to use the kit and to know how to frame things and how to block things and all this stuff. So I'm on a pretty intensive course of learning in that regard at the moment. You can do all of that though on the ground, which is my preference.
I think I'm just excited for you, because maybe if you get super famous and you get something that gets super viral, we just get extra views in our podcast
Just
as well.
imagine
Yeah,
that would be
yeah.
good for everyone,
Well,
right?
It's a
well,
win-win for us.
Andre, Alex said that he wanted me to star in one of his screenplays
Yeah,
as
I'm
an
working on that.
evil leader of Mars, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, why he would pitch me as an evil
No,
leader?
no
I
one could
mean,
imagine that, right?
I have no idea.
where
What's
did
Yeah,
he
I'm
get
still
that
working on
from?
it. That's coming. That's coming. I've got this project which is far above my capability at the moment, so I'm needing to learn more and more things to make it come to life. But it is being worked on, and so
So
one
watch
day,
this
Oh my
space.
God.
yeah, watch.
So this is
Literally.
Oh, yeah. So I will keep an eye on your profiles on LinkedIn, and whenever I see something coming, you will get the first person to watch
Perfect.
will be me. So now that we got back to kind of a more happier state, I want to go back to not this previous question, but to something else, which is, we spoke a lot about career and the fact that we have been, like, you guys are an example, and myself, that developing a career within workforce management as an industry. How big do you think there is this space for someone to actually have a career, for everyone that is starting? And what kind of like personal traits does someone need to have to make it work? Tough question.
That's our
I know.
second episode.
I know. That's I told you before. I picked a few things here and there. Like, sorry, I'm taking usage of your content as well. To a certain
That's
extent.
fine. Go,
It's
Alec.
good. I mean, now I'm just going to offend a few people that were like.
Again.
No, I mean, I think it's a really important question about what kind of person does it take to do this stuff. And I think that there is a certain amount of people who just have the right way of looking at the world. They want to control things. There has to be a level of that, right? I mean, also a level of the thing I'm always looking for is I like order, and I like finding it in chaos, and I like to know what's happening and why. And then I'm quite lazy, so I don't like to have to do a thing twice. If I've had to do it twice, then I need to work out how to make it automatable so I can just let it happen for me over there. I feel like those are all personality traits that lead to someone being a pretty good planner, because that's the type of situation that you face. You don't want to have to run the same report every day. You want to automate it. You want to set up a script for those things to happen, and then forget about it, and it's just delivered. But no, it's there, and change it when it's needed.
How early did you pick? I actually like it because when you started your kind of career, how fast did you pick up that that's the way to go? Like
Yeah,
not doing
really.
the same thing all over again.
I mean, in the first couple of weeks, that was the
Yeah.
first thing that I noticed. My first role was working with software called QMax,
Ooh,
which ages me, doesn't it?
me
Yeah,
too. Me
it
too.
was you as well, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. And there wasn't much it was pretty rudimentary. But what it did was it forced you to say, well, how can I just repeat this? I don't want it to be the same every week, but if there was flexibility, would it work out for me what person should work, rather than me having to do that? And how much do I trust that? And yeah, I guess that's kind of that's the answer to the second part of your question. The first was about how much of a future is, and
Yeah.
there is in this industry, and I think that there will always be a need for this. Vosy talked earlier on about how things have changed over the years, and that's what
Hmm.
they'll continue to do. But WFM, and the reason it is an art and a science, is because you have to look at what it is that's going on. And if you just sit and repeat the same thing again and again, you will become obsolete. But like a good planner will never become obsolete,
Hmm.
because they'll always be watching out for new stuff.
Yeah. I think to, if you allow me to add, someone will have a career figuring out a way to replace your obsolete work by
Yeah.
someone that makes it work. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
Voxy, you wanna
I think,
add?
there's definitely a career in planning. Been in planning for 22 years, and it's changed throughout that period. And I
Mhm.
think what's important for planners who start today, if you do want a career in it, is that you need to have that thirst for knowledge, for finding better ways of doing things. So, one thing that used to frustrate me with teams is I've not had the training for this. And it's like, right, okay, well, I've self taught on pretty much everything that I know. I've used Google as my friend, Mr. Excel forum, and all of those places to find out how to do stuff. And if I know someone who knows how to do something, then I will, barge my way in and go, please, can you show me how to do that? Because it's all about having that thirst for knowledge, and how do you optimize what you're doing? How do you make the best of what you've got, and challenge yourself? Really, I think it's really, really important. So the traits that I think you need is that real drive and that real thirst for knowledge, that you want to change things. I like what Alex said, because that's most probably me as well. I'm lazy to the point that I don't want to do the same thing every single day. So, don't make me do. Who wants to do, but I mean, some people like it, but who wants the same boring, repetitive tasks every single day that they come into work? You want to be excited coming into work. And the best
Mhm.
way of doing that is finding the automation, finding where you can make things slicker, so that you can go and find something new and interesting to do with your workforce management, for example. So if you're running shifts, and you're having to export reports and stuff every single week, automate that so that
Mhm.
actually you can go and have a look at
Get
whether or
best.
not you can configure the scorecard. It's all about finding finding better ways of doing things.
Have
That's the
you
exciting
um,
stuff.
have you seen the movie Hidden Figures? I
No.
No.
watched it. I recommend it
Ooh.
to everyone
Hi-
watching
Hidden
your podcast.
figures, right?
Hidden
Hidden
Figures,
Figures.
yeah.
What's it on? What?
It's a great. I watched it on Amazon just a couple
Okay.
of days ago and really loved it. And it's about three women that work for NASA, and one of these women is working in a. They call them computers, but they're people, and they're working out like the trajectory of orbital stuff. and they're having like computers delivered that fill up a whole room, and this one woman's kind of watching that and thinking, oh, that's a problem, isn't it? So she goes to the library with her kids where she's actually not allowed to go, and gets a book and reads it. And then like some of the guys are trying to make the computer do things, and she sneaks in the lunch break and has a little play. And I don't want to ruin it for you.
Yeah, I see where you are going.
There were lots of things about that, which, I mean, there's lots of messages in that movie that are nothing to do, important messages, which are nothing to do with like a thirst for knowledge and workforce management analogies. But also, that's what those people, that's what they are, that's what they did. They kind of said, oh, there's like we could make this spaceship out of something better, couldn't we? Or yeah, now I've drawn the analogy between workforce management and a career and the movie Hidden Figures. I'm starting to slightly regret it, but it's a great movie. Actually, it's a really great movie, and you should see it if you haven't. So
I love it, Alex. Love it.
I love it as well. And I would just compliment, because I think I was finding super interesting that even my personal story, when I started in my early days in the WFM, I think one of the things I had to do, one of my jobs was like extracting information, building a report. And I kind of got into the job, and someone said, oh, there is a report that we prepared like on daily basis. And I looked at the report, and the report had 87 or 97 KPIs. I was like, why do we need that? And they were filled by hand every day. So that was one of my first glimpses into automation. Like, I'm not going to do this again.
Yeah.
And the only advice I would complement to everything you said, it's like being super curious. Because if you are really curious about, like you said, going on Google, trying to figure out different ways to do things, you just focus on what's next, and that's much more interesting. You are, okay, what can I add more than just repeat mode? So I really love it. And just to summarize, so Ion automation, drive and passion for what you do. Be lazy. I like that one. Focus on what's next. Be curious. And apparently, an Eden Figures movie analogy that might not work well, but I think recommending everyone to.
But it's a good film.
It's a good film. It's a good film. That's what I was going to say. So, inspiration. Who are the people that inspired you the most?
Inspired or inspire?
Yeah. In workforce management.
Does it need to be? I mean, think on a personal level, like who inspired you. Like, if you want to take professionally, I think feel free to share. I think it's more about who inspire you to be who you are today.
Oh gosh,
Tough question.
Tough question.
Tough question.
So, I would say, on a very boring and personal level, my mum really inspired me to be a strong, independent woman, and build my own career, and not have to rely on anyone else. Work hard, really hard working ethic, and I've spent most of my life and my career trying to make sure that she's proud of me. So that's really important to me. But as a female, workforce management is pretty male dominated, especially in the tech part. So it's I don't know, from an inspiration perspective, I would say it's really good when I see a female in senior roles in workforce management. And all I would say from my perspective is if you have got a senior role as a female, that you don't turn into a queen bee, that you encourage other females in the industry, because it's a really great career, and we should harness the next generation, whether that's male or female. But I think it's a great career. So
I think your mom would be super proud. What you just said.
Yeah, I imagine she is.
She'll be like, "What do you want?" And I'll be like, "Can you cook me tea, please?"
Alec, you're gonna try.
Okay, I'm going to name two people. And the first man is a guy called Mark Liversidge. And Mark Liversidge was the planning manager for Office Depot, who hired me to be his forecasting analyst, or maybe MI analyst. I did both. I can't remember which one came first. He took a risk on me. I was terrible in that interview. It was the worst interview I've ever done. And he clearly saw something I'm not even sure I knew was there myself. And he took a risk, put me into that role, and that role was the thing that kind of started me on my current career trajectory. So I'm very grateful to Mark Liversidge, who doesn't work in planning anymore. He was a towering intelligence in the world of planning, and he's currently a DJ on BBC Radio Cambridge, and making a huge success of that as well. He's a terrific guy. And in order to sort of dovetail in with Vossi's last point, I'm going to say that currently I find Juanita Coley to be a huge inspiration on LinkedIn. Someone who is taking workforce management as a career. You should get her on, right? If you haven't already, you might have. But Juanita is a true force of nature. No one presents WFM as a going concern better than her. She's written books. She's a keynote speaker. I'm kind of I'm a fanboy. I just digest everything she says, and she's always right about everything. And I don't know where she's from in America, but she has this amazing, like, engaging way of presenting. That I like her approach. I like her energy. I wanted to say that I did a training course with a colleague of hers called Cassandra Putty, and that was a 2-week super user admin course, which is a pretty dry piece of training. Best I've ever seen it done. And that energy and that enthusiasm and that kind of belief that this is a real career and that we can make something from this bleeds through into everything those guys do. And so, if I had 10% of that energy, then I would be delighted. And so, yeah, that's who I want to shout. So
they're both WFM ones, right? So I'll give you one person I'd shout out. Darren Jones was my head of resource planning at Vodafone, and he was amazing as a leader, but also as an expert in workforce management. But he left to become a pastor, an evangelical church. But I was like gutted when he left, but I learned so much from him. So shout out to Darren.
cool.
Yeah, amazing. So you I'm not sure if you noticed, but I always end normally with the same question, but this is going to be a funny one because it can goes to the technical side, or it can goes to the more operational side. So let's see how you guys answer that, and feel free to answer it together. So if there were no constraints at all, from budget, time, resources, like infinite money, what would be the one thing you would fix for this industry?
Gosh.
The risk, the attitude to risk, how scared people are of change. I would just dedicate as much time as we needed with all the right people to just talk about what would happen if we tried some stuff that you've never done before. What's the worst that could happen? How can we mitigate it? We can always roll back. We can, etc., etc. That's the thing that I'd like to make go away. And I think we have all the tools that we need to do that.
I would definitely agree with that. I think there needs to be a challenge operationally, because I think the tech is out there. We can do so much with the tech that we've already got, and some of the problems, I think, is that the tech companies are coming up with new and innovative pieces of kit, but some people haven't learned how to crawl with their WFM yet. So let's not try and run and go for the next shiny thing. Let's get to a point where we use our system well, and then we optimize what we use already to a really good standard, then go on to the next bits, because I'd say we're using 40-50% of the capability of our WFMs at the moment anyway. So let's get to 100% before we go for the new shiny toy in the shop window.
Yeah, I mean, I love that note, and I was thinking about what you said, and I think the way I would summarize it, I'm not sure if you agree. It feels like all of these WFM projects kind of need someone to champion change management, being part of the project, and not afterwards, because it's very easy. Oh, it's not working as we intended. Let's get someone to help with change management and comms. So I think that's definitely a huge advice, and I think a great tip. I would invest money on this if this would fix it. So I think
definitely.
it's a perfect one. Guys, time is up. Like, I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. it flew. Like, I think I was expecting this to be super short, and it took quite a long time. Super interesting conversation. Any final messages from WFM, from your personal, anything that we can wait from your personal side, Alec, in terms of your movie being ready? Just kidding. Anything you want to share?
You know, like I said earlier, I won't be shy about sharing any of those things when I pull them off. Andrea, this is a great thing that you're doing here, and thank you for doing it from myself, but also from everyone that works in WFM. I think that helping to raise the profile of this as a career choice is exactly what you're doing, and what everyone of us should be doing. So I'm really grateful for you doing that. Keep going. It's great.
Thank you for the kind words. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really good channel that you've got going here, and it really is opening up people's eyes on the career choice, because it is it's not something you go to school and go, do you know what, I want to work in planning.
Yeah.
But actually it's a really, really interesting and diverse career choice. Once you get into the contact center and people go, oh, I want to be a team manager, or I want to be this, or want to be that, planning is, I think it's a fantastic career opportunity, and we should highlight that. Actually, as planning, you're pioneering a lot of the change that goes on within the contact center. So it is a pivotal role if you do it right.
100%.
Oh, I need to end on that note. So thank you. Thank you so much. It was amazing. I have to say, for everyone listening this far, please send a message to Voxy saying happy birthday. Probably will be late happy birthday, but send her a message. I would love to see when this goes live how many messages you get. So tag her on LinkedIn, send her a message, and then we'll reach out to you to see how many messages you get.
Oh,
Perfect
great.
retention
Advertise
trigger.
Guess my age. Oh, please don't.
We mentioned Humax, so they know.
No, I know. There's too many clues.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It
Thank
was
you
great.
so much for
Guys.
having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.